Hi guys, this is Miss Bofice, and today we're going to talk about variables on both sides of the equation. So variables on both sides of the equations is what we should be titling it. And in our math notebook, if you have me, Miss Bofice, you're going to label this number 10. And if you have Miss Dupe, you're labeling it number 4. Remember that we are going to be doing some little math notebook checks on Fridays, so make sure you have the correct numbers. Variables on both sides equations, Bofice, this is number 10. And if you have Miss Dupikowski, it's number 4. Our I can statement, I can solve straightforward equations with variables up on both sides. So we're finally at the proficient level. This is what you should be doing as an 8th grader. Everything before was a 6th and 7th grade level. So there are steps for solving. The first thing is that you're going to find the variable that is on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So you're going to find the variable on the right-hand side. Remember, your variable is just your letter. So whether it's an X, a Y, an M, it's your letter, and you're going to do the opposite to both sides. So if it's addition, you're going to do subtraction. If it's subtraction, you're going to do addition. So once you find the variable on the right-hand side and do the opposite, the next step is to find the constant that's on the left-hand side. Remember, the constant is just the number by itself, and you're going to do the opposite. So you find the variable on the right, take it to the other side, you do your constant on the left, do the opposite, and it ends up taking it to the other side. Step 3 is we're going to cancel all of our opposites out. Remember, opposites are positive and negative versions of each other. We'll solve because it'll just be a one-step equation. And then we're going to box our final answer. So we're going to find the variable on the right, do the opposite, find the constant on the left, do the opposite, cancel out any opposites, solve like normal, and we're going to box our final answer. So here we go. This first one is example 1. We have 1 plus 4x equals negative 5 plus 7x. So the first step is you find the variable on the right-hand side of the equation. So our equal sign is right here. The variable is this 7x. It says plus 7x. It's positive. So the opposite is to subtract 7x. And remember, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we're going to have to line up our minus 7x under the x on the left. Okay? And then we come to the left-hand side of the equal sign. The only thing that's left is a positive 1. The opposite of positive 1 is to subtract 1. So we're going to subtract 1. And whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So every single constant or every single term should have something underneath it now. The 1 has something underneath it. The 4x has something underneath it. The negative 5 does, and the 7. So we just draw our line, and we cancel out the opposites. So 1 minus 1, those are opposites, so we cancel them out. And on the right-hand side, 7x minus 7x, those are opposites, so we cancel them out. And we're left with positive 4 minus 7. So you just put that into your calculator, 4 minus 7, and you get negative 3. So negative 3x equals, and then we have negative 5 minus 1. Remember, the negative button is underneath the 3. So negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. And just like that, we have a one-step equation. We have negative 3x equals negative 6. Since there's nothing in between this 3 and this x, this is multiplication. Therefore, the inverse or the opposite is to divide by negative 3. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. Negative 3 over negative 3 will cancel, and we're left with just 1x. And then negative 6 divided by negative 3 in our calculator, negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2. So we have 1x equals 2, which is the same thing as just x equals 2. And we box our final answer. So that is example 1. Example 2, 5r minus 2 equals 6r plus 5. We find the variable on the right. The variable on the right-hand side is 6r, so the opposite of positive 6r is to subtract 6r. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So we line up our r's with our r's. We come back to the left-hand side. The only thing left is a negative 2. The opposite of negative 2 is to add 2. So we line them up, draw our line. We're going to cancel all opposites. So 5 and negative 6, those aren't opposites, so we can't cancel them. But negative 2 and 2 are, so we cross them out. On the right-hand side, 6r minus 6r cancels out. And then we just solve. So 5r minus 6r. So that's just 5 minus 6. 5 minus 6 is negative 1, so we have negative 1r equals 5 plus 2 is 7. We still need to get this negative 1 to go away, so we're going to divide by negative 1 on both sides. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is just 1, so 1r. And 7 divided by negative 1 is negative 7. So we have 1r equals negative 7, or r equals negative 7. Don't mind Mr. Scuds yelling in the background. All right, example 3. This one has decimals, but it's the same thing. 2 plus 1.25x equals 10 minus 2.75x. Our variable on the right-hand side is this x. It's negative. Therefore, the opposite is positive. So we're going to plus 2.75x. We're going to add 2.75x. And remember, you line up your x's with your x's, your r's with your r's, your constants with your constants. We come back to the left-hand side. We have positive 2. The opposite of positive 2 is to subtract 2. So we line those up. And we start canceling. 2 minus 2 will cancel. It's just 0, so we can cross it out. And on the right-hand side, the negative 2.75 and the positive 2.75 will cancel out. So we cross it out. All right, on the left-hand side, 1.25 plus 2.75. So 1.25 plus 2.75 is 4. So 4x equals 10 minus 2 is 8. So we ask ourselves, what times 4 gives us 8? I see this is multiplication, so the opposite is to divide. So I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. 4 over 4 just cancels to 1. So 1x equals 8 divided by 4 is 2. So you can either leave it as 1x equals 2 or x equals 2. Box your answer. All right, last one. We have negative 2/3 x plus 5 equals 20 minus x. Whenever I see an x by itself, I know that there's an invisible 1 right here. So this is really negative 2/3 x plus 5 equals 20 minus 1x. I start on the right-hand side and ask myself, where's the variable? The variable is this negative 1x. The opposite is to add 1x. So plus 1x plus 1x. We go to the left side now, and I have a plus 5. The opposite is to subtract 5. So subtract 5. Draw my line. I'm going to cancel out opposites. Negative 2/3 and 1 are not opposites, so I can't cancel them out. 5 minus 5 does give me 0, so I can cross it out. On the right-hand side, 20 minus 5, not opposites, but negative 1 and 1 are opposites, so cross it out. Last step, negative 2/3 plus 1, so we're going to use our ABC button. Remember, to put negative 2/3 in, you would put negative 2 ABC3. So negative 2 ABC3 plus positive 1 is a 1/3 x. So 1/3 x equals 20 minus 5 is 15. We have multiplication going on, so we're going to divide by 1/3. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. 1/3 divided by 1/3 is just 1x. And 15 divided by 1/3 in our calculator, 15 divided by 1 ABC3 is 45. So 1x equals 45, or just x equals 45, because the 1 is technically invisible. Some notes that most people, what they mess up is that they pull from the right side both times. So you always pull the variable on the right, and then you pull the variable on the left. Or no, sorry. You pull the variable on the right, and then you pull the constant on the left. So you need to make sure that you're switching on both sides of the equation, because if you don't, you end up canceling out a whole left side, and that's not okay. You need to have something left on the left-hand side, something left on the right-hand side. And you're always going to have your x's on the left and your constants on the right. All right, that is variables on both sides.